Involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Okay, I'm trying to speak softly here, but I am so effing hyped right now. I am so excited. Okay, liquidity is low still, but we are about 15 minutes before the market goes. I've put in a short. Look at this chart. Guys, that is a head and shoulders on the 1 hour chart in the 10-year Treasury note. Can you believe this? This is incredible. I am going to short TF out of this thing. I mean, I don't want, obviously anything can happen, but this is a really, really good setup. This whole move has been completely irrational. Okay, that was a good tick. I think that there's a really good chance that this entire move is just going to completely unwind in Treasuries. Let's look at the E-mini. Okay, the E-mini has recovered somewhat in the overnight. Everybody was saying, oh, it's down 1,000 points more. Yeah, okay. I think this whole thing is irrational. I think it's a flash crash. I mean, look at the liquidity right now. There's only putting up 1,000. And we were like 2,000, 3,000 yesterday. Obviously it'll increase when 10 minutes when things get going here. Yeah. I'm excited. Okay, well, let's get you guys the links. Okay. Come on. Just let it happen. Dan, what the heck did we just go through? Now they're saying 4K in the futures. I only see 6. Oh, you're just saying that's where you said it was gonna go and you still think it's gonna go there, huh? Okay, so hold on. Let's let me. I'm too excited, and I'm like, I need to focus here. Okay. Let's get the link first. Okay, there it is. Share copy. There's already a 5K there. Just curious. Okay. Here it is. So here's what I see in Bitcoin, guys. If we can zoom out here. Extreme disorganization is what I'm seeing in Bitcoin right now. I'm not seeing the volume come in, but maybe as we push above 7K, maybe we'll start to see some of that come in. Fingers crossed. I don't know. It's every time I've seen a signal that like maybe it could happen, and then okay, we need to see this for it to really mean something, and then we never see it. So But if we come back out here on the 6-hour chart, you can kind of start to see it. Disorganization is a good sign, I think. So I don't know if the drivers in Bitcoin are going to continue, because it seems to me like there are just some people out there that want to short this. and that's just all there is to it. But some people have been, oh, look at that. Okay, they put the 18 right on it below it. That's good. A lot of people have been saying, that equities market going all crazy has been pushing Bitcoin even further. If that's true, I think there's a high possibility that yesterday's move in equities just completely unwinds, and that would be good for Bitcoin. We could be back up at 8,000 by the end of the day. That's not a prediction. That's just a scenario. Okay. I'm not really too sure in my head right now what I think the most likely scenario is. I'm still not seeing like a clear bottom signal. So that could mean that like we could get a bottom and it just sneak up on us or something like that. But I'm not seeing a bottom yet. Again, here in the futures, there was a pretty significant increase in cumulative delta here. Of course, Bitcoin did move up on that move too, so it is in line with price. It's not a divergence, but it was a pretty significant move up, about 100 contracts. Gold gave back all its gains overnight. I literally just came in and was like, I want to short this right at the outset. And there just happened to be 1,000 printing at 275 and I took it. That was literally it. Okay. Does that get you guys all set? You have any other questions? I took one trade on you at exactly the wrong spot. That's unfortunate. Now let's turn on the text to speech. Dan, just waiting for the SEC meeting today. Let's see what they have to say. Didn't they move that meeting back, though? I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that people are all concerned about the SEC meeting, because anything that the government has come in and done has been like, we think it's innovative and cool, and just as long as people are safe. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, the US government isn't going to ban this because they know they can't. Are you going to ban it? Just prevent people from being able to spend money on it? Make it all a black market thing? And I don't think so. Okay, well, that was a pretty positive run there in just the last 10 orders on Bitcoin. Let's see if we see anything in the data mesh. You can see in data mesh longs slowly increasing, and shorts took it off sometime in the middle of the night. Need to see more than 6 hours. Give me 48. Okay. So shorts were putting it on and they started pulling it off sometime last night. In the meantime, longs have continued to increase. Okay, so we just had a pretty strong move against us, but I could take the 4 ticks. Now 2 minutes to the open. Nope, I think they're just gonna hold it down. Fix this.
Fran said Morgan Stanley says that annuity funds will now need to sell between $30 and $35 billion of equities today and a similar amount on Wednesday.
Really? Good, good, good. And somebody putting up some good liquidity there.
Fran said yup.
Okay, so here's the open. We still have extremely low liquidity. The initial drive was down, but it wasn't a ton. This is so weird to only see 1,000s on the note. Oh, I'm sorry, Adele. I was talking about bonds. I was talking about the treasuries. Normally, especially as of late, we've seen between 3,000 and 5,000 contracts at every price level in the 10-year note. And right now, some price levels don't even have 1,000. The kind of liquidity that we see on the dashboard right now is indicative of, like, there's about to be news, like everybody's turned their robots off for a high risk event of some sort. We do have trade balance at 6:30, 8 minutes. We'll see what they do when they pull for that, but
IQ said just sell the ZB for the big pullback.
yep. All I'm seeing in Bitcoin at the moment is extremely disorganized price movement at the bottom and decent buying volume in the futures. I think this is really bullish for Bitcoin. I don't know if it's enough to end the trend. I'm not seeing like a really clear bottom signal, and at this point, the only thing that could really be off of this, because we're not getting like a clear bottom signal. Like I would want to see like an inverse head and shoulders or something like that. So because we're not getting that, the only thing that I could see come in that would be a really clear bottoming signal is if we started to see accelerating volume, which is to say that we start seeing really big prints, as big as this on consecutive blue candles. If that makes sense. I hope that's a clear enough description, but I do believe this right here, disorganized price movement, because remember when we've bottomed in the past, the ones that bottomed and were traps were very clear. They touched the bottom and then there was a very sharp move up, and we didn't really get that this time, did we? We had a move up, they faded, them new low, then and a higher high, and there's a lot of wicks here. It's just disorganized, and this is an indication to me that shorts are losing their hold on the market. The shorts are not as influential as they
Alligator
were.
said trying L210.
Because the there's just too many of them is really the reason. There's just too many shorts and they have to take profits for it to go much further, and not to mention the fact that we're just ridiculously oversold. So okay, so we're getting another pullback. This might be a more significant pullback. Especially since E-mini is going down. Oh boy, that's not pretty in the E-mini.
Fran said long 07. Trade the traders said liquidity is death.
I just want to stress again, the liquidity on the DOM right now is extremely unusual. And when I say extremely unusual, I mean like the government's going to investigate this. This is really, really bad for markets. This should never happen. This just shouldn't happen. So it's also good. This is going to be an important recording. So you're going to go, people are going to ask you today, what's going on with markets? And you can show them this video and you can say, look, normally there's 3,000 contracts at every level, and now there's only like 1,000. So it's like all of the liquidity providers, all the robots got turned off. And now the market is making these huge extreme swings because there's not enough market liquidity to keep things in line. And I say, and this is important, I say, stop relying on the robots so much. Bring back prop shops, hire traders again. This is why you need people, huh? Diversify your traders. Because if everything is just robots, this is what you get. It's every once in a while, something's going to happen. Some market correlation, market setup that the robots can't understand. And everything just goes haywire. And they start losing money. And so they get turned off. And then all of the liquidity is gone. It's a flash crash. This is like back when the flash crash happened, and everybody's like, well, maybe it could happen again. We need to be cautious and look at this. And I'm really concerned about, the repercussions of what could happen in the market in a real flash crash. This is it right here. This is the flash crash of the worst possible magnitude. and it's insane. What is that? And if you're skeptical here, because I can already see like a lot of people are not sure what to think about today, or are a little puzzled as to why I'm talking so confidently, other than the fact that I have a pretty good winner here. My question is, what changed? Interest rates? Come on, I told you guys, we've been saying in our room in these videos since last August that rates were going to increase and that it was basically nothing but down. You telling me nobody accounted for that? Give me a break. Yesterday's moves, down was nonsense. And then when the E-mini started going down, everybody started flooding into the bonds as a flight to safety, pushing us up. But there was no liquidity. There was no liquidity to hold things back.
Brand said no direction.
Yeah, they're fighting a little bit here.
Fran said DOM is hard to read. Alligator said fear is powerful. Why volatile DOM?
Oh, hi, Yuck8. Welcome to our stream. Pretty small community, so generally know when it's somebody new. I think that that comment in Discord was about UB, and I'm sure that UB is hard to read. I mean, look at ZB. There's only 150 contracts at each level. It's hard to read right now, I think. Oh, thanks, Anthony. So Yuck was saying it will recover from itself. It just needs time, like weeks or months. Well, you might be right about that. I think that the bonds in particular, mostly because of the price pattern that we've created and the fact that it was almost all in low liquidity and the liquidity is still low, I think that the technical patterns are going to start taking over here, and that this is going to have to complete the neckline.
Really thin today. Uneasy face.
It's going to complete the neckline and go all the way back down. Equities, on the other hand, maybe not, because in my opinion, even though nothing has changed, rising rates is not good for equities. So equities does need a little bit of a correction. It's just 1,000 points every day is not logical. It's not that bad. Come on. We're still looking at one of the strongest economies we've ever had. It's the big panic.
Alligator said F230.
Yeah, I think it's a flash crash. Yeah, I don't. You know, the thing that sucks is I wasn't watching when the really huge move up happened yesterday, but I came in afterwards towards the market close, and there was literally no liquidity at all. And I recorded a small video, but I mean, they were putting up like 100. It was ridiculous. Flash, you've never heard of the flash crash before? Oh man, that was the day. So I was in training for Goldman Sachs when the flash crash happened, and I was watching it that day, and we were in training, and everybody was just, you know, eyes glazed over, because basically what their training was like, everybody in technology, let's just make sure that we're all on the same page. So it was a lot of like software development lifecycle and coding practices type of stuff. So stuff that they had already taught me in university, but not everybody there was a computer science major. So most people in the room were eyes glazed over, trying not to fall asleep, because they pretty much went drinking till midnight every night. And I'm sitting there glued to my screen watching watching the chart. I was using the Thinkorswim web at the time. And it was the most bizarre thing, because I said, hey, you know, it's a pretty ugly pattern here. I think we're going to move down in equities. And it was like the floor just dropped out, and it just went down and down and down and down and down and down. And there was no liquidity, and nobody would buy it. There were like literally no buy trades at all. And anything that anybody put buy on limit just got gobbled up. So there was nothing to stop price. And eventually somebody bought. And there's a video, maybe I'll go back and find it later, but there's this guy that kind of calls the E-mini futures pit. And listening to a recording of him, pretty unreal. And they say that what started the flash crash was a fat finger trade, essentially. Somebody sold a ridiculously high amount of E-mini contracts, and when that happened, it all of the robots saw it and reacted, and we had a very volatile move off of it. And when that happened, they turned all of the robots off because they were losing money. And that's why you get this low liquidity. So that's essentially what happened yesterday was KES rates are going up, and we're hitting some critical levels here, and it is definitely, yeah. Sounds like Hollywood has its next scenario and we are living live. Yep, they're going to make a movie about us later, guys. I'm telling you, we were born to short this thing. That's what went through my head when I woke up and I saw that chart pattern. This thing right here. I was like, that's head and shoulders on the daily chart. I was born to short this. Anyways, when the flash crash happened, they did some market analysis and they came up with that explanation that I told you. And a lot of people were saying, well, it's not just that it was a fat finger trade, right? It was that everybody pulled the liquidity. And what they presented in the media wasn't really very, in my opinion, wasn't very accurate about what the problem was. And they never fixed it. In fact, since that time, because the flash crash was like 2010, right? It was a long time ago. 8 years ago. And it was a problem back then. And what's happened since then? Well, everybody's moved over to these ETFs. So now, yeah, it was a long time ago. It was definitely 2010 because I started working at Goldman Sachs in 2010. And the market had already bottomed. So it was, market bottomed in 2009, right? That flash crash happened in 2008. We can even point out the day if we want. Let's go find it. I'm going to pull it up on TradingView because that just is much better for a long-term chart. And we'll put it on like a daily chart. And we'll go back to 2010. Oh, come on. Okay. So here it is right here. It was that day right there. So it was April 5th. May 5th, 2010. You see it? And it almost completely retraced. Of course, we had a little bit of panic here, but eventually we... So this is where, looking at Bitcoin, this is why I say extreme disorganization at lows is a good signal. This is a panicked market with lots of people shorting it, but shorts unable to maintain control. Same thing here. Extremely disorganized price movement at the bottom. It's a good sign. Wow, what? That just ticked up 4 ticks. I'm not saying the economy is collapsing at all. I think that the whole thing is irrational. I think it's going to retrace just like it did. Except for back then, the difference between now and the flash crash is that during the flash crash, there was a lot of risks on the horizon. And we had just come off of a pretty good run, And there was like the Euro crisis on the horizon. And, all of that stuff happened after the flash crash, right? So it was reasonable to be going down. but it was like in the flash crash that the floor just dropped out from underneath of us. So in my theory is that the way that the market has set itself up right now, anytime that we actually get true negative, the market just completely falls apart because the robots can't handle it. They all go short at the same time, essentially. And then this causes a high volatility move, and then the liquidity pulls. And what I was trying to say before, I'm a little ADHD and I kind of lost my train of thought. But the thing is that like ETFs have completely taken over the market now since then, right? So it's even worse because if, people are selling the ETFs, everything goes down. And there's nothing to stop, like, there's companies that are really, really good and things like that. There's nothing to, bring some sanity back into the market. And there's nowhere to run either because everything is down because the markets correlate it all. The robots correlate it all. Yeah. So this is a problem that we're going to have to fix, because if it's this bad, when the economy is doing pretty good, what do you think is going to happen when we have an actual crisis like we did in 2008? Yeah? Not good. Not good. Sanity, yeah. Well, I'm just saying there are companies out there that have a really bright future, have really good earnings, and are worth a lot more than the market says that they do right now. There's probably not very many of them out there left, but they do exist. And when you're in a market like this, everything's going to go down regardless of the fundamentals of that company, which is wrong. When the economy is going good, then there is enough space for speculations. Or me, yeah, well, I mean, if you can trade futures, there's always enough space for you, Yuck8. Would be glad to have you. And that's kind of my whole point, is we need humans, man. I think it was Gary Norton was the one that really tuned me onto this. So Gary Norton, there's a video on Futures IO where he describes the history of trading at banks and what happened. And essentially, just before the financial crisis, they really started to focus on quants. And since that time, they have way overdone it. So they rely on their trading largely on quant theory. And what's happening is that the quant theory is basically like when this goes down, the quants all say that this is the correlation that needs to happen. Yeah. And because they focused so much on quant trading, like Goldman, where I worked, I didn't trade for them. I was in technology, right? But where I worked at Goldman,
01,
they shed a lot of traders, especially in fixed income. And when I left, little over a year and a half ago, they were shedding even more traders. And I'm saying, look, this is why this is happening. You replaced all your traders for robots. They need to hire traders again. They need to get rid of the Volcker rule so that banks can have prop traders. And the prop traders are going to be the one that are going to step in at the bank and say, this is stupid. We're shorting this. It's going to retrace. Because obviously the quants don't get it. And that's another problem. Yeah, they replaced everything with robots. This is another problem is, look, I'm a computer guy, okay? I have a pretty big ego. I I tend to think of myself as pretty smart. People my whole life have told me I'm pretty smart, but the thing that I've learned when it comes to trading is that doesn't fucking matter how smart you are. Being smart can actually be a disadvantage because you hold on to what you think is right, even though it's dead wrong or the market disagrees with you. And I'm sure that right now at the banks, there's a lot of quants, having heated arguments with people about what's going
Fran
on.
said out +4.
And they aren't willing to listen
Fran
to
said,
what.
I can't read this.
Yeah. Is having a hard time. Okay, so Fran did get a +4, so that's good. She still did okay.
Fran said bouncing back and forth.
Trading is a business. Bitcoin is a believe. Yeah. Well, so let's talk about the Bitcoin thing, because I'm starting to see something pop up in the online discussions now that is significant, and it's not like it's the first time I've ever seen this discussion, but what I'm going to call true believers. These are people that have always believed that Bitcoin is the future ever since, the day it was released or whenever they found out about it. Okay. And they believe that Bitcoin could be a hedge, a place to flee to when the Federal Reserve is out of line and printing so much money and devaluing everybody's assets. Bitcoin is a place that you can go to keep your money safe and increase your money. And so they've always been trying to call it like a safe haven. And when the Mt. Gox thing happened, that was a pretty big blow to that theory, but they passed it off because, hey, like the only place you could trade it just went down. So of course the market's going to go crazy, right?
Alligator said ES recovery favors the downside, just following but holds there.
That's an interesting comment, Nicholas Rosa. And by the way, welcome. It's another new name I've never seen. Bitcoin generates money. It's an economy. There's a business which only want Bitcoin as a profit. I think I could agree with that to some extent, because the way that I view Bitcoin is it is a transaction network. So it is a business, and the value of the network is dependent on how many people are using it and how much money is going through it. And so to some extent it is a business, and everybody that is trading cryptos, and I mean like trading, not just like retail guys that just bought it and are holding, but that's all part of their business for sure. Anyways, when the Mt. Gox thing happened, it was a really big hit to that theory. But of course, they could explain that, well, that's just not the case. The market's not mature enough, etc., etc. Now with this run, it's not the same thing. I mean, I know that there's the Tether thing, but Tether hasn't actually collapsed, right? In fact, we've just been completely left in the dark on Tether ever since that story came out. So we don't know what's going to happen. So you can't say that the market is going down because of something fell apart. Well, that was a pretty big buy there, buying that 5,000 just like that. They're defending the neckline basically. I think they're going to lose. Tether is a scam. Yeah, so you believe that Tether is a scam? I'm still don't know what to think on Tether. I definitely think that my personal bias would be that Tether is a scam, but I just don't see the hard proof. Yeah, exchanges do make quite a lot of money. Bitfinex being one of the largest in the world, they only need a few billion to support it. Yeah, I think that the exchanges make enough money that it's possible Tether is fully backed. And I would be really surprised if the government was investigating Tether as a fraud and they're still printing fraudulent Tether. And during this downturn, they did pull some Tether. And the lock with the dollar is held. So I think that it's still a risk, and I can't really say if it's fraudulent or not, even though my personal inclination is to think that it is fraudulent. I don't know if it really matters though. So we were just when we were up at the top in Bitcoin, we were just crazy over, valuation levels. It just wasn't healthy movement, It was a bubble. It was going to have to collapse. If it wasn't Tether, it would be something else. And that just kind of just goes back to my theory that, look, Bitcoin is never going to be stable. I don't use it, but it does enable many exchanges to operate, which also have a vested interest in keeping it backed. Well, I hope so. There's a coin out there, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my next round of investments. But one of the coins out there that I'm really interested in is Maker and Dai, and they kind of have a setup similar to Treasuries, where you can basically borrow against your own coin in a way. You'd have to read the white paper to really understand it, and then it's been a little while, so I don't think that I could describe this setup accurately. But Dai is supposed to be the stable coin. So Maker you buy based on the more people use it and you make money off of it. But Dai is supposed to stay pegged to the dollar. And through this downturn, it has. So it is essentially, in that respect, decentralized Tether. So we don't need Tether. Let's get rid of it. But once we do that, the crypto market is still going to be unstable, in my opinion. And it's not going to go away. It's always going to be incredibly volatile, which is great for trading, but... So Tether is government, and that's the reason why the Bitcoin community does not like them. I don't know. Okay, so here we're coming. They're really eyeing the low of the overnight. If anything, we can have a whole web of packed stable things. It doesn't have to be just one. Yeah, and I think it's not even just stable things, but we need things that are inversely correlated. We need a cryptocurrency that when Bitcoin is going down, it goes up in the same amount. We need the ultra short Bitcoin ETF. Because the problem is right now is when things go south, there's not many places to run. And so you just have a bunch of people that just hold it and get screwed over. It kind of exacerbates moves. And there's also, if you go, I have a Steemit account, Speculator Seth. I'm Speculator Seth everywhere, but I wrote a post about some things about the exchange and how the exchanges could potentially decrease volatility by making a couple of changes to their products. Essentially trying to make their instruments more thick. That's in it, And since the interest is largely driven by whether Bitcoin is going up or down, it's always going to be prone to bubbles, essentially. BTC is around 5K. Imagine if or when... So I think that it may have been priced in. And of course, the market is going to what is the word? You know, I think that a lot of exchanges are going to try and get away from Tether now, or you're going to see a lot of exchanges that come up and are based off of DAI instead. Neo is the winner. Yeah, you really like that Neo stuff, don't you, Anthony? I've thought about the Neo too. So when my deposits confirm, which I think will be tomorrow or Thursday, I'm not sure if I'm just going to straight up buy more Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum and just kind of wait it out, or if I'm going to try and move it directly into some altcoins. And you know, Maker, Neo is one up there, and KU coin I still have on my list. And you know, there's some of my really speculative ones that I've also thought about too. So I'm having a hard time deciding what I want to do. Or if I'm just going to let it deposit and wait and make sure that this thing is done. Chick Crypto, he is really good to explain. Oh, Chico Crypto. Okay, I can remember that. ES recovery favors the downside, just following but holds there. Okay, well they did come off of the lows, but it's not quite out of the woods yet. We're like we had a bit of a head and shoulders. That's a confirmed head and shoulders, and you can see here it did play all the way out, and now we had a slightly higher high. You know, are we actually going to go higher? I don't know. Hasn't quite given up what it wants to do yet. It could totally just go down and make a new low. Halfway to 5,600. So it must be showing completely differently on different exchanges, because on Bitfinex, the lowest we got was 6. That's my chart. So where did it go to 5? Which exchanges did it go to 5? One day, perhaps altcoins will become more inversely correlated to Bitcoin. Used to be that way, could easily gain more Bitcoin on the drops. Yeah, that could be. I mean, I think it was very inversely correlated when things were less popular, because all of the money that was in the crypto market was basically like, it was going to stay no matter what. So it was just about that money moving around the ecosystem. 59.20 on GDAX. Okay. Well, on Bitfinex, it did dip a little bit. No, I think it stopped right at 6. That's why I like to look at the Bitfinex chart more, because it is the one that always stops like right on the dime. Whereas GDAX is a little more schizo. Okay, BitMEX, it went below 6. Yeah, but you guys were saying like around 5K. So did it ever get below 55 on any exchange? Okay, well, ZB is right there on the edge now. So let's see what we have any interesting news this morning in
IQ said
cryptocurrencies?
ZB at EEC area.
Yeah. Dow Jones will open at negative 10%, maybe. I'm already seeing people posting in the Bitcoin subreddits that like the dip is over. Well, that was a pretty good move. Like I said, the disorganized action down at the bottom was a good sign. Let's see if the buy-in really comes in. I think you're gonna have a big buy here, but eventually they're gonna have to retest it, no? So it looks like ZB did make a new low there. Could probably move this. I'm gonna move it to there. I want my stop to at least be in sight. Okay, so Adele says that 58.73 is the lowest that they found on Bitstamp, which makes sense because Bitstamp is Korea, right? It seems like the Asians have been the ones selling it the hardest. The Americans are all just sitting here like, what the heck? Why are you selling it? And then the Asian session comes out and they just go, sell, 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 sell. Donald Trump falls silent as Dow Jones plunge sends world stocks spiraling. I think this thing going on in politics is really interesting because it seems like the media and Democrats in particular are really trying to pile in on, oh, look, the Dow is going down. You took all this credit for the economy and now it's falling apart. And I'm sitting over here saying, like, this movement is completely irrational. So what are they going to say if I'm right? And this move completely retraces. Oh, because to me that's going to be like, oh, it was a correction. It was maybe it was a extremely volatile, irrational, and dangerous correction that we definitely need to investigate, but it needed to happen. And it's good. It's good for the markets that it happened and we're over it. And then are they going to go back to, well, it's not Donald Trump's fault? You're kind of setting themselves up for a lose-lose situation there, I think. Unless, of course, like, it really does just completely fall apart and I'm dead wrong and we enter a recession, then I guess it would be a positive for them. But that just seems like an awfully risky bet. That you're betting on the world economy falling into recession. What do you think about working as security strats at Goldman Sachs? Too much work, did I hear? Yes, so I did work at Goldman. And I was in trade execution for equities, mostly. And specifically when I ended, it was risk controls. So we were like, the systems that keep traders within their credit limits and things like that. Entire multi-year bear market happened in a few days. Nah, I mean, we haven't even fallen 10%, so... The Americans are saying, what the hodl is going on, when the Asians are saying FUD that. Yeah. Is it just me, or is the Asian market much more flaky when it comes to FUD? Like, they don't check it, it's just they hear the headline and they sell it. And, you know, I'll wake up and it'll be like down, 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 and then, you know, the Americans get on Reddit and they're like, here's why this is bullcrap. And it goes back up. Seth, the next time Lopez tie? I'm not sure what that refers to. Is that a person? Yeah, so as for strats, so the one thing that's interesting about the strat work at Goldman Sachs is that they use a unique language that is internally developed and an object database. So that's kind of cool. So you don't necessarily need to be like some star programmer or anything to work there and be a strat. You just have to be, you know, good with the math, essentially. But most of the people that they're hiring for those sorts of things are like, you know, PhDs in math or, you know, exceptionally smart people. That's where I was saying it can become a problem when you have an exceptionally smart person that is wrong or doesn't understand something about the markets, because the markets are irrational. And they're going to say, well, my strategy is working the way it should. And the traders are sitting here going, well...
IQ said I.imager.com.
This whole thing is ridiculous. And then they turn it off, and of course the strat's going to be mad that they turned it off. Okay, so that was some good buy-in there. They did not take out the overnight low, did they? Nope, it was 160. And we just grazed it. So I think maybe I should take this off. Yep, we're going to take it off at 17 ticks. Okay, 16 ticks. That's still a good profit for the day. I might just say, okay, that's it. And so where did we get out at again? It was 90, right? Blood on the market, snow in Paris. I can't wait for spring. Does it snow in Paris very often? Don't think it does it? Okay, it does sometimes. You know, I never knew if when I was watching Beauty and the Beast, if that snow, you know, was a common thing, because it's pretty hot in France, right? I remember reading this story about there was a pack of wolves that became extremely large, and they had this alpha dog that was just like this crazy alpha dog, and they were killing tons and tons of villagers, and eventually they were able to find that alpha dog and kill it, and the wolves went away. A pretty awesome story. And go find that and read it. It shows up on Reddit every once in a while. That would be a good thing to submit to like today I learned right now for karma. You go and do it. It's a freebie on me. It's been a while since I've seen that one. Sounds like the bear wall fighting. Yeah. I'm just gonna let it do its thing for a little bit.
IQ said good one. IQ said ZB same now long.
Well, I'm pretty happy how that trade turned out. I wish I could have kept it longer or taken it off at 16. Maybe I should have just had something
Brand
at the
said
low
nice
today.
Seth.
But I'm going to keep my eye out for another short. They did a movie about it? Really? I have 3 dogs at home and I am the alpha. I would hope you're the alpha because you have dogs and they don't think you're the alpha. They do not behave well. My dogs, I got remarried. And my wife is also remarried. She was married before rather. And so she had sorry, what do we even freaking call these things now? Why is the name escape? Yorkies. Yes. She has 2 Yorkies. And I don't know if this is just the way Yorkies are or what, but
IQ said I.imager.com.
if I just look at those dogs the wrong way, they think I'm gonna kill them. I don't know what the deal is. It's not like I've ever been mean to them. Sometimes I'll be a little weird and try and do things that I don't think the dog will expect to see how they react, but like they seem like they're afraid of me sometimes. Oh yeah, you probably heard them when they were getting ready. Like when somebody comes home or leaves, the dogs are always barking like crazy. Yeah, they're pretty yappy when people come. That's good. If somebody just walked in, the dogs would not just sit there and watch. And then my bird would freak out too. Bird used to be super uppity about any kind of intruders, but now, not so much. Okay, well, we had some big trades there. This might actually be a good spot to go short again. That big one was at 20. Looks like he's losing. I think that they might take it a little bit further. I don't want to screw up my perfect 16, so
IQ said you all have a good day, I am out. IQ said I.imager.com.
Later, IQ. Oh, so he did buy at 145.24? Well, not 24, 28. And he just took it off. Good job. So it's back to this high volume node here at 21.5. Equities is going to be open in 10 minutes, so it might range here for a little bit. Let's double check here, Coinbase. Yeah, it still hasn't deposited yet. Pending. Pretty sure it said the 3rd, right? Let's double check that. No, it doesn't say. When I did it, it gave me a number, but okay, let's see what John Bottomley says. Seems that 3-year resistance area I mentioned yesterday in the 30-year chart was not a mirage after all. We pulled back off those high yield levels also. Commodities are still under pressure this morning. CB retraced the 200% retracement of the non-farm payroll report just before the RTH opening. My bias is for lower prices this morning as long as prices continue to trade below the bull bear zone 146.20. Okay, clearly below that. Near-term demand is in the 145.28 to 06 area, which is where we're bouncing from, followed by the breakout level from yesterday at 145.19. Then the demand zone from yesterday's RTH session in the 144.12 to 19 area. Okay. So we're towards the top of the demand area, essentially. There it is again. Cool. Nobody wants to buy 20? Well, they might take it back down to the low, but I don't want to take this until the E-mini starts. So I'd still have a little bit of food to eat. So I'm gonna eat some food here for real quick while we wait. Oh, by the way, we did have the news. What was the news? I didn't even really see a huge... Okay, the trade balance was negative 53.1 versus 52.1. So that's not good. Now we have jolts at the top of the hour and IBD tip economic optimism. which doesn't matter at all because the market just went to crap. So, all right, talk to you in a little bit. Okay, so Treasuries have had a very difficult time pushing past 21.5. Also seeing a pivot here in Bitcoin, orange candle now. So they went from 6,000 to about 7,250. So I guess we're going to get the test, but what I would like to see in Bitcoin is continued disorganized movement and increasing volume. Here in Treasuries, Just gonna leave it alone again for another 2 minutes. All right, here we go. Here's the open. Let's pull up the E-mini here. Well, that's pretty cray-cray. Still pretty low volatility, even though a lot of orders are coming in. They're pushing a little lower here. That seems to be moving bonds up. Wow. Well, so far,
Tucker said, geez.
it looks
I don't
like
think
they're
I've ever
buying.
seen the ES as thin as crude is on any given day.
Yeah, it's as thin as crude. That's a great. Okay. That looks like that was it. Okay. Look, it's already up at that's the high of its. Yeah, there you go. It's pushing. Go, go, go. Come on. Get out of here. Yep. There's not many people willing to put big orders up, but they're definitely the buyers right now. On the E-mini, at least. Ooh, look at it go. Look at it go. Did I call today perfectly or what? I am so happy right now, guys. I made a bunch of comments on Reddit last night that was like, you guys are all being dumb. This is like kind of completely retraced, blah, 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 blah. And I really felt like I was, when I posted those things, I was like, yeah, you're kind of sticking your neck out here. Maybe you shouldn't be saying these things. But at the moment, it's looking pretty good. Okay, so they just pivoted a little bit. Let's take 4. Come on. Thank you. Might continue through, but I felt like that would be prudent to take. Since the E-mini did take a break there. I don't know if it's going to be a very long pivot. Okay, so they did break the low. Look at that. They finally put up a 5K order. Yep, and it's moving down. Ow, no. Okay, good deal. So that guy that wanted 5K short got out, but now... Good. Good. Let's reset the DOM. Okay, so our price levels now are going to be 121.015. Oh, that's way down there, guys. Look at that E-mini go. Okay, so I'm not too sure about my spot there on that short, but I think I was, a little late. And I took that other one off too early. I think that the one tick might be prudent here. Okay. Okay, so here's update 323. Deal. By far my best day in bonds. Maybe my best day ever in number of ticks, since we're 16, 20, 21 ticks. I think the most I've ever made was 18 ticks, so I do think this is my best day ever. Maybe I should have tried playing the E-mini. Okay.
Tucker said the bonds are really the only tradable market this morning. If you click into the ES, there's no telling where it's going in the next second.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're gonna have to see how my buddy Renton, who's also lives in the same city as me, has a good journal on futures IO. Well, let's see how well he does today, because I don't see how, as an E-mini trader, you could trade that. Know what I'm saying? Okay, so the E-mini is still just taking off. Good deal.
Tucker said what's his journal?
I think it's just Renton's something such and such. Yeah, the question is, do any of the retail guys have the... Okay, that's not good. Maybe you should have just kept my original one on. Problem though is it did come up to where my stop was, right? Where was my stop? It was at 21.5. Yep, my stop was at 21.5. It came back up. So it would have stopped me out. But after that, I should have kept these other ones on. Okay, so the E-mini is running into some resistance there, and I'm wondering if they're going to take another leg here or not. I would like to see some more
Fran said need a
significant
martini
pullback than
after
that.
watching the ESDOM.
Right? Is it making you dizzy? It makes me a little bit dizzy. Okay, missed that one. I did have my mouse over the right spot, but I could probably take any of these prices and make money, but I want to be careful still. We do have a good profit today. And it just had that one that went against me 2 ticks I'm not happy about. Okay. I'm more comfortable about that spot. E-mini does look like it wants to take another leg. Come on. There you go. Get out of here. Man, I really hope that he just went long. I hope all of you guys at Futures IO, I hope you guys just went long. Honestly, trade of a lifetime right there. So great. Okay, so it is slowing down a bit. Yeah. Okay, so have they, where is that? That is the overnight high. Yes, it is. Okay, so we've matched the overnight high, so now we're getting into yesterday's action. We're going to take this off. Okay. It's either going to act like, oh, we can't make it, and then it's just going to bust right through it. There you go. So we're a little bit lower than the last one, aren't we? Yeah, 1 tick. So maybe I'm being a little too cautious here. It is going to move around a lot. Social Observer, how are you doing? By the way, we should check Bitcoin here. Okay, so it is coming back. Not too bad though. Hmm. Nope, don't like that one. Radu Para, how is Bitcoin? So I'll show you guys again, as you asked. My take on Bitcoin at the moment is disorganized movement at the low. It's a good sign. We are having just a little bit of a pullback here. Not saying that this is a low signal. It's just a good sign. But I still haven't seen something that's like, oh yeah, that's definitely it. Like it's definitely that's definitely the bottom. I'm not seeing any kind of signal like that. Okay. So the E-mini is starting to make a negative pattern. Look at that. The bonds really tried to kick it down there though. How long in days does it take to know what is the bottom in general? Oh, man. I don't know if you can ever really know for sure until you've made a higher high and a higher low. And even then, Bitcoin has shown that it can just do anything at any moment. That's why for me, my strategy has just been it's okay to buy anywhere below 50 on my indicator. There's no bottom. There you go. Yeah. I say it's okay to buy anywhere below 50 on my indicator. By the way, let's see if we get a number today, because yesterday blockchain.info did not update. And so it did not. And that's where I base some of my data on. That's where I'm getting transaction value. Okay, today it is 35. That is definitely the lowest it's ever been. Pretty sure that's the lowest it's ever been. So we have sold off even stronger than Mt. Gox. That's to put things in perspective. So like when I was saying like with the tether, maybe tether is already priced in, that's why I'm saying that. Okay, so they did, E-mini did kind of act like they were going to make a head and shoulders pattern of some sort, and now they're pushing higher. It's good. Bonds are being finicky here. I think that there's a single print there in the note. It would be at 121.14. Yep, it is. So that's why we pivoted there the first time. If we can bust through it, then we might have a chance at completely retracing the yesterday's move. Well, E-mini really moved up there, and we didn't get a whole lot out of it in the treasuries. So I don't know. Clearly didn't get the best spot because I'm kind of in the middle. Would have been a lot better to have taken 16. Cumulative delta, by the way, looks like this is just traders rotating in and out pretty healthily. Market liquidity is better, especially on the short side. That is to say, there's a lot of people short and they're taking profits. $13,130 1,300 is the bottom. Well, I've been seeing a lot of people that seem to think somewhere around 3, which I really want to know where people pull these numbers out of. I guess on the downside, it makes a little bit of sense because you could look at previous levels of support. But when it's to the upside, whenever I hear a target, I'm just like, okay, you probably pulled that out your butt, but whatever. But I do, so I think 1,300 is the lowest that I've seen. I'm not saying that Air Cages is the only place I've seen that, though I have seen other people say 1,300. But I saw a lot of people somewhere around 3,000. Like that was like the worst case scenario. So I saw one comment that I really agreed with on Reddit where they were saying, you know, they'll probably go to where the worst case scenario is and then go a little bit past that just to fake everybody out. So who knows? There's some big orders there in the E-mini that weren't getting filled. Okay, well, because they touched 13.5, I think that we should be good. So I should be able to just leave this alone now. Get another tick down, please. Thank you. Very good. I'm a happy man. I'm a very happy man right now. If I could get 500 today. I've always wanted to catch 32 ticks. That would be a full point. I've never done it. I don't think I'm going to do it today. But you know, looks good. So that was, this one is 18. So where would we need to get to? We would need another, probably to 22080, which is an okay level. I think I can get that. I think that's doable. Oh, and you know what else? This is what makes me the most excited, because we had a bad week last week, right? But if we get this, that wipes out all of the losses that we had that week and then some, and pretty much guarantees that we hit our 3-month goals that I set for myself in order to go live. So let's not jinx it, but I'm really hopeful that we're going to be going live in March. So yay, it's great, right? In fact, I think I should go back and look, but I think I may have even passed a combine if I had been doing a combine. This is funny. I give up on doing the combine, and then I make a good enough profit to do it. Oh, actually, I take that back. I'd need to be 1,500, and I'm probably getting close to 1,000 now, so I wouldn't pass the combine yet. But remember, the reason that I didn't want to do the combine wasn't that I didn't think that I could do it, but that I couldn't do it in a reasonable enough time frame to justify doing that as opposed to a live account. Come on, get out of here. Let's push past that 12. This is some good rotation right there. The E-mini is just on a tear. My chart is now, it's not big enough to see it on a 1,000 tick chart. We can look at it on this one. Okay, here we are. Here's the E-mini. Go, go, go. We need to get back up to 27.50, so we still got a ways to go. Let's move our stop at the very least. Okay, so Bitcoin is having another up. Huh. Let's pull that back up. See that? So this is really good because it continues to be disorganized and buyers are starting to win through the disorganization. This is a really good sign. I may remember I was saying yesterday that it's probably going to bottom before my deposits confirm and I'm going to miss the best prices. That's sure what it's looking like right now. Like they're going to give me 8 and I could have gotten 6.5. It makes me sad. Let's move that out of the way so that you can see the E-mini still. Okay, so the E-mini came back. Now they're pushing up again. Oh, no, come on. No, keep going down. Keep going up. I believe in you, E-mini. Go, make it. Aww. No, we don't want that to stay, that 13.5. Thank you. If my blatant cheerleading here is annoying, just let me know. I'll stop.
Trade the Traders said Seth, do not be sad, Bitcoin goes even deeper.
Do not be sad if it goes even deeper. No, I'm okay if it goes deeper. Absolutely. I mean, I would prefer that it goes up because I do have I think that my cryptocurrency portfolio is valued at like $400 right now. I'd have to pull up my phone. I'm too lazy to do that. It was like at 350 yesterday, but we've come up a little bit. So I'm going to say 400. But all of that money, none of it was like, you know, my money. It was all like mining, you know, and money that I've made from doing other cryptocurrency stuff. So if I lose it, it's okay. It's money I can afford to lose. And you know, remember, I had been bearish, and I am not calling a bottom yet. I say it looks good, but I'm not calling a bottom yet. So it could totally go lower, and I would not be bothered in the least bit. And he said, trade the traders. Remind me, what was your price level? You were saying like 4,000, weren't you? So keep in mind, because a lot of these guys in my chat room said, you know, low, or say throwing out 6s and 4s, and I said no. I think that's highly unlikely. I really thought that 7.5 was the lowest we could go. So I have definitely been proven wrong on where the bottom is going to be. And I have to say, my indicator, this is the lowest that my indicator has ever shown. So I don't know if that could mean that the indicator is not as good as we thought, but it could also mean that this is just a tremendous buying opportunity. That or cryptocurrency world is just done, and 20,000 is the highest it ever gets. Could mean that too, I guess. Yeah, you mean he playing like it doesn't want to make a new high? I think that they're gonna push it though. Come on. Can we get this up here? There we go. Yes, sir. There it goes. There they're trying. Oh. Whew. That's a battle right there. Yeah, at the moment it looks like they're starting to lose. Maybe prudent to take a small profit here. Probably as soon as we get filled it, we'll continue on. Oh, in fact, nope.
Trade the traders said at the moment, let's see.
At the moment, let's see what he's looking at. Bitcoin, dollar. Okay, so he still sees 4. Here's his chart. We'll have to see. I mean, so I really like to get to know the people and kind of figure out how they trade and what they're good at and what they're not. So obviously trade the traders, just like everybody, isn't right all the time, but especially when it comes to market profile stuff and levels, he's been pretty good. So I would not be the least bit surprised if he ends up being 100% right. So where did that plus 4 take us? $359. Okay. So here's the E-mini. Oh, you know what? We need to like change this up. Like the circle tuner is ridiculous. Oh, that's the wrong. We want this. There we go. Okay, 4 is fine. Okay. And make the interval width 5, I think.
Trade the traders said big picture stay.
No, we'll just leave the interval width there. Okay. So they did bust a new high there. I think it should be safe to go short here again. Oh yeah. No, this let me see if I can pull it over here. Yeah, you make a really good point. There is a level at which miners no longer make money that I think is pretty critical. I actually think that eventually we're going to hit that, but I think that we need to have a panic buy first. You know what I mean? So I think that what's going to happen is we're going to bottom out somewhere around here, and I don't know exactly where. Maybe 6 is it. And we're going to come back up to between 15 and 18. And then it's really going to have the ability to just keep going down. And that's when you end up in a multi-year bear like post Mt. Gox. That's what I think is going to happen. Based on my indicator, that's my prediction. I just don't know where the exact bottom and where the exact next top is. But I do think that there is going to be a buying spike that is going to extremely quickly overdo itself. So I guess that's a good way to qualify it, is that if I'm right, so we have a buy and then it starts going down, but for me to be right, we would still have to get below the point at which miners are no longer profitable. Ooh. And then we can buy up all of the ASICs. I would love to have an ASIC. I think that would be fun. Maybe I could get like an obelisk for the C coin thing. You know, since those guys are all super unhappy and are probably going to dump them for dirt cheap. I don't like the pattern I'm seeing. I think they're playing games with us here now. Yeah. Okay, let's just take this one off for a little bit. Since it didn't go, well, it went and then it retraced, so I think it would be prudent to just take break even here. Good deal. Okay. So how many trades is that? Yeah, we had a couple break evens. We did have that one loser, that -2. It's okay. Well, this pattern right here, look at that. That's a head and shoulders that played out. Head and shoulder patterns everywhere. Do you see them? Do you see? Here, this one hasn't played out yet. I'd have to say that was accelerating sell volume though. I think it's confirmed, so it should go down to here. I think. We'll see. That one played out, we could start going up again. Where are we? We're right where we were. Yep. Thank you. Oh, you know what? I have to go in like 5 minutes. I totally forgot. So you guys have any questions before I have to head out? Joe Smo, I'm on my mobile. Did the market pop up from C-SPAN news? So I don't.
The traders said don't buy Bitcoin. IOTA will be the future of blockchain, maybe. I think the car industry will be interested in that.
So I don't know anything about something on C-SPAN, but it looks to me like they just were ready to buy it on the open, and it's just been ripping up. And what I'm seeing right now is it looks a lot like games. They're pretending like they're done or they're exhausted, and then they'll come out of nowhere and just take it out. Let's just take one tick. What do you think about the SEC hearing? I don't think that they're going to say anything terribly bad at the SEC. I would be extremely surprised if they said something super terrible at the SEC meeting. I mean, it's not like they're going to ban Bitcoin in the United States. I think everybody in the United States is smart enough to know that you can't really, that's not really doable. So I guess we'll see what they say, but okay, so that is get out. No, thank you. Come on. Fill me, no. That's a short covering rally right there. And we're gonna get stopped out. Suck. That sucks. Good deal. Okay, we did get filled. -2. Okay, but we still made over 300. Huh? You know what? Making 300 when I was trading ZB was good. To do it in the note. So it sucks that we had to end on a losing trade, but we only had 2 losers today. And I'm really happy. Now some of these we could have done a little bit better on. You're right, this one was 22. So I still need to work on taking profits, but why is so many bad news about Bitcoin at the same time from different sources?
Lord
and just after that,
Dow was up 1,000 PTS in 30 minutes.
You know, I I don't know,
Bonds
Adele.
barely moved. Infers market can easily fall back. It's really been attracted back to previous closing price.
Yeah, so let me address Lord Lubu's first. So my opinion is still that this move is irrational and it needs to retrace. Let's pull the chart over and make this really big. Okay. Pretty clear head and shoulders here. We should go back to there if it plays out. And here in the E-mini, we've retraced about 50%, I think. So we'll see if it goes. But I think there's still a good possibility that it retraces. Now, as for the SEC meeting, I do think it's unusual that we've had so many bad news things in a row. But I don't really see the fundamentals in the Bitcoin market changing either. It's just there was a bubble popping and this is it playing out. So I expect it to play out and then to have a really big rush up. And that's when we really got to be worried is on that rush up, especially if it's fast and we're up to 1800, you know, before the end of the month, then that has a good possibility of exhausting. Anyways, so that is it. I don't see any other questions, and it is time for me to go early for a kid thing. So, good day. I will see you guys tomorrow.